Welcome, everyone. I'm Mike Bershazadeh.
And I'm Ashley Ward.
And you're listening to the What Matters podcast, and our mission
to spotlight top RIAs, wealth managers, and investment professionals who are redefining wealth management.
Join us as we dive into their journey, strategies, and insights.
Whether you're an investor or an inspiring pro, this is for you.
Get ready for impactful conversations on the What Matters podcast. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the What Matters podcast. I'm Mike Bershazadeh.
And I'm Ashley Ward.
Today, we're joined by Robert Holt, better known as Bob, partner and private wealth advisor at Symphony Financial, an ensemble firm within the Northwestern Mutual Private Client Group.
Brings a fascinating background with 25 years in commercial investment banking before pivoting into wealth management in 2010. His journey reflects both analytical depth and a passion for helping people live with more clarity and confidence.
Symphony Financial today manages over $1 billion in AUM with 23 team members and offices in Illinois and Florida. Bob's mission centers in building harmony between life and wealth, helping clients live their best lives with intentionality.
Bob, we're so glad to have you with us today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for having me.
Well, Bob, let's just dive right into the conversation. We're excited to hear a little bit about you and your journey over there. So let's begin with that. You spent 25 years in the banking sector before, making the shift to becoming a financial advisor, which, I think it sounds like after such a long career there, what a bold move to do. So what sparked this career shift and, how did that now lead to Symphony Financial?
Yeah, it's a little different journey than most, I guess. When I came out of college, I started in the commercial banking industry and did a couple stints, both commercial banking and investment banking, worked for a hedge fund for a couple of years. But most of my career was around leveraged buyout financing. So putting together senior and mezzanine financing for private equity firms that were buying companies. Spent a little bit of time specializing in using an ESOP structure to do a buyout for business owners and that. And then I found myself in the beginning of 2009, kind of had a confluence of events. My wife had been sick with cystic fibrosis for quite a while and passed away in the beginning of 2009, same time that we were in the financial recession when banks were going under. So the merger and acquisition world was basically shut down. And my daughter was a senior in high school. So I decided to just take the year off, be home with her until she headed off to college, and thought I'd figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life after that. So it, that year gave me a lot of time to spend in reflection and prayer. And I talked with a lot of different people, tried to really think through what my giftings were, what brought me satisfaction, and where I could be most helpful. Felt a little bit like I could see almost a door was closing that said, okay, your commercial and investment banking career is done and want to do something a little more personally impactful. And kind of long story short, it led to starting a career as a financial advisor under the Northwestern Mutual umbrella.
Wow. I can't imagine. Sounds like, what a time. And sorry to hear about your wife. But
It was a strange time, and don't wish it on people, but it's given me perspective and experience that has now come in helpful as I help a number of, in the last 2 years, I have sat down with 8 women who have lost their husbands, some suddenly and some after a period of disease. I tell you, to me, it's just no greater privilege or honor than to be able to help somebody during that period of time. So when I look back, I say, well, that's my journey, and there's some good things that have come out of it.
That's great.
Yeah. Wow.
And you have 5 children, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm kind of collecting children now. But one from my first wife, I was fortunate enough to get remarried about 3 years later. So I've been married now for about 13 years to my current wife. She had 2 daughters. And then we had decided to volunteer and take in some inner city children to kind of take care of them for a period of time, typically where their single mom needs help, either finding a job, getting some medical treatment or rehab, or finding housing, and then they would go back. But it's led to us adopting 2 sons. We think we're at a holding pattern, although you never know. So that's where the
Wow.
5 comes from.
That is amazing. I love that. I love hearing those stories. Wow.
It's been a lot of fun, and I find myself now with a 12-year-old going into 7th grade. So
Wow.
I figure
Hey,
it
keeps you young, right?
either keeps me young or it's driving me to an early grave. I'm not sure where it'll head, but one or the other.
So
Wow.
tell us about your practice there. I had rattled off some information in the beginning of the podcast with the only public information that we get access to. But yeah, I wanted to talk to you about Symphony. First off, how did the name come about? I love the name, by the way.
Oh yeah, thanks. It's so I should tell you. So I grew my own business, my own practice for about 10 years. And along the way, had talked with a couple of people. Through my whole banking career, I'd worked either as part of a team or as head of a team. And so it was unusual when I started this career to work kind of solo. And even though I, hired a couple of team members to help me, originally with scheduling and investment paperwork and things like that, it wasn't the same as having a big team like I was used to. And the right fit came along at the end of 2019. I joined 2 other who are now my partners, Keith and Tom. They had both started this career right out of college. So while I was older than them, they had been in the business longer. And they're the ones who really came up with the Symphony Financial name. And we like to say, a symphony, it kind of, when you sit down to listen to a symphony, you hear all the instruments tuning up and it sounds a bit like chaos. And then when the conductor lifts their arm, it all comes together. And so we think of it as bringing together a group of experts in different areas who then create something that's great for our clients. So we've enjoyed the name, and a lot of people like it.
That's really cool. And let me ask you this: with you guys joining forces there, your AUM has grown to over $1 billion now. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're about 1.1, 1.2 billion currently.
Wow.
And how many total advisors and total teammates do you guys have there?
We added one additional, kind of more of a senior advisor a couple years after I came together with Keith and Tom, but everything else has been organic. So we have 4 longtime senior advisors, and then we have another 5 advisors who both do client facing for our existing clients, as well as starting to build their own book for our firm. And then we have, it's now 24 team members in total.
Wow.
So is 5 more senior advisors and 4 newer advisors that are just learning the ropes in there? Or?
Yeah, well, we have, I would say, so our senior advisors are 3 of them are in their 50s. I'm in my 60s. And then our younger advisors are between 29 and 43. So we really are looking at them as the next generation. We have one of our real goals and promises is that we want to create the next generation that will be able to take over the firm and take care of our clients long after we're gone. And I think we've spent in the last 2 years, we've made major investments in our team, and we now have it to the point where we feel like we have excess capacity. So we're kind of turning on the M&A mindset, if you will, as well as the organic growth mindset, and are starting to talk with some other individual practitioners or small teams to see if there's a good reason and a good fit to join us as well. So I think some of that growth in the next couple of years will be through addition of some more partners.
Really cool.
Me too.
So when you talk about growing, had you guys grown inorganically yet by taking over other practices, or your growth has been primarily organic?
Well, Keith and Tom would tell you that they grew by adding me, and then we grew by adding our fourth partner, Josh. And then most of the growth since then has been organic.
It's really cool.
And so you talked a little bit about, ambitions probably to do M&A in the near future. What would you say is the real vision you have for your firm in the next 3 to 5 years? Is it to bring on that another partner, to grow the junior advisor team? Tell us what you
Yeah,
and your partner's vision is there.
all the above, Ashley. We have to, spend a lot of time growing our next gen team. So that takes a lot of mentoring as well as, them working with us. We do most of our meetings, we do with a couple of people in the meeting. We just find that having a couple of perspectives, people hear things differently, say things differently, that it really makes an impact, and our clients find it to be really helpful. So we'll continue to grow and mentor the next generation. Um, and then as we look around, there's a lot of there are advisors who have gotten to the point of trying to figure out what their succession plan will be. I find this true with clients as well. It seems like age 50 is about the point where people start to click and say, I need to get serious about where this is all going, right? I either
Hmm.
need to get serious about my planning so I'm ready for retirement, or I'm a successful advisor and I need to get serious about how do I get out of this and take care of my clients when I'm ready to retire. So there's a lot of advisors who are in that age range who still have a lot of runway, but you know, most advisors get into the business because they're really good at working with people and solving problems and helping them, not because they are great at running businesses and hiring people and making sure the operations are running well. And so there's a real benefit to joining a group who already has that in place. I mean, when I put my business together with uh, Keith and Tom, it freed me up to just go find new clients, meet people that we could help, and grow. And I didn't have to worry that we need to hire a new person on the investment operations side, or we need to hire a new client service person. And so it allows everybody. We like to think everybody has kind of a natural superpower, and it's the thing not just that you're good at, but it's the thing that also gives you energy. You can do it all day long, and you go home and you feel like you haven't really worked. And so we think if we hire the right people and we can get everybody working most of the time in that area that we call the superpower, everybody has a lot more fun. They're really good at what they do, and they stay energized throughout the day. So we want to find the right fits. There's also some great, call it 30, 35-year-old advisors who have built businesses. At age 25 to 30, they might be finding it hard to find those high net worth people who want to trust them with all of their life's work without a team around them or without more experience. So they're at that point where they have to either invest heavily in their team and build all the operations to become a larger group, or decide I'm going to join a team that has that in place so I can just continue to bring in clients. It allows them to go up market and talk to the higher net worth people and say, we've got a fantastic team who works with people just like you. I can be with you for a long period of time, but I bring someone currently who has more experience. So, it's a lot of fun to have a
Hmm.
different, different styles and different people to work with.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like what you said too about their like the superpower, how they say, everyone's good at something. Find the person who's, good at doing what you're not good at, right? But I like the whole superpower analogy there because it's true. If you're doing something that, you love and you feel good about, you do then leave the day feeling like it was a breeze. You come home, lots of energy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
And it's funny because there are people who have superpowers in the areas that you find so boring you couldn't believe that would
Right.
really be a superpower.
Right.
Right.
Right?
So why
Like, who
not
would
help
want to do
everyone
that?
out? Yeah.
You're like, I can't believe that person has interest in something that I loathe so much. Right.
Totally. And to them, the last thing they would ever want to do is say hello to a stranger and offer to help, with financial planning. So it all works out when you find the right team.
So let
Yeah.
me ask you this, and you guys looking, as you said, to, make some, I don't know if we'll call them acquisitions or adding more partners to grow AUM. In doing that, are you guys, working strictly under the Northwestern umbrella to bring over people that are from Northwestern, or are you guys going outside Northwestern?
Yeah, so far we have the people who we put together have been part of the Northwestern Mutual system. And we would love to find some great advisors who are outside as well. But I'll tell you right now, having financed a lot of roll-ups for private equity firms, whatever industry it was that, firms that have gone out there, and this was, very big in the 80s and 90s, you'd find an industry, you'd go buy all the mom and pops, and then you become a bigger company. And of course, you sell for a much higher multiple. You do 5, 10, 15 of these acquisitions, and it always was that they would then stop and say, we have 10 or 15 different systems that all these different companies are running on, and it's clogging our system. We can't be efficient, et cetera. So one huge benefit from continuing to acquire or merge in people who have a business within the Northwestern Mutual system is that we're all running on the same platform. We all have the same technology. There's no disruption to clients. And so it is really um, so much more efficient and predictable. So if we meet somebody great, we'd love to talk to them. But I will tell you that our when we're really out looking, we're looking more for people within the system just because of the ease of integration.
Hmm.
And let me ask you this: when you guys are out there looking for these individuals, or maybe Northwestern might pair you with them, let's say, why would they say, okay, we want to join Symphony as opposed to one of the other outfits underneath Northwestern?
Yeah, and it's this Northwestern Mutual historically, was individual advisors who would kind of have a career and they'd grow a team of 3 to 15 people, and then they'd retire and somebody would kind of take over. And it's really in the last 10 years that groups got together for not just sharing staff, but creating a firm. So in when I joined at the end of 2019, we actually created a firm. It's a legal entity. We have a share price. We get a valuation. So we're owners of this firm. And so there are different models like that throughout Northwestern Mutual. Some people are still kind of sole practitioners. Some are sharing resources, and then others have created an actual, we like to call it an enduring firm, something that's going to last for the long haul. And I think that it's not unusual if we talk to somebody that they say, I think I'm going to talk to somebody else just to see what they're doing or what that would look like as you would normally expect. For us, we want to always hire and fire according to core values and culture. That culture fit is the key to a great business long term. So when we're talking with people, and we're happy to have them talk with other folks, but we want to make sure that it's the right fit from a culture standpoint, from a value standpoint, and it seems kind of natural that those things come together and are attracted to each other.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Look, I can tell you, that's what Ashley and I do on a daily basis is, we talk to different firms, right? And
Mhm.
I can tell you there's some people I get on the phone with and, I hopefully we don't have to bleep this part out. I go, how the heck did they become so successful? Right? I mean, they're just they're just some real characters. Look, I will say 90% of everybody who we speak to are, you know, are real great stewards of the industry. But you do get some of those individuals that are, quirky, different.
Well, yeah, and I would say this, Mike, it's there are a lot of different, as you could say, characters in this industry who have been very successful
Hmm.
doing it very differently. If you put them together, three different characters, they probably don't work well together. But
Right.
if you find the same characters and you put them all
Right.
together, they'll probably still
Yeah.
continue to be successful. So you got to
Right.
find
Yeah.
your family, so to speak, right?
People who complement them. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Eh,
Yeah.
eh,
Different skill sets, but similar values and culture.
Right. Yeah. And looking back, what do you think has been the most effective for, growth within your team, in the past year or two? I think, you know, like kind of Mike confirmed earlier, it's a very competitive market. There's so many different teams out there. What strategies has your team at Symphony really implemented or focused on to help grow your team, whether that's by AUM size or bringing on new clients?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll tell you, Ashley, I think that when I boil it all down, right, you can talk about investment management and client service and all these things, but they're a little bit of, they're expected these days. All of that is
Mhm.
expected to be great. When I am talking to somebody who, either asks me what I'm doing or they've been referred and they say, can you tell me what you do differently? What I've really found that people value is having clarity. And that's not a big investment term or it's just what people are looking for. Clarity, which allows them to have more confidence in their future, confidence in their decision making. And so we always do comprehensive planning. We want people to understand where they are today, forecast for the future. Um, most all of our clients, it's not a matter of, hey, I'm about to retire and I'm afraid I'm going to run out of money and not be able to put food on the table. They're conservative enough and smart enough, and they've done well enough that that's not going to happen. But I always say my big fear is that they get to 80 years old, they have more money than they thought they would ever have because of the compounding of interest. And they have regrets that they didn't do more while they were young and healthy.
Mhm.
And now they're saying we can't do it. And it'll be great to pass this money to somebody, but gosh, if we had known this, we would have taken that trip, or we would have bought that house. And so having clarity allows people to, live their best life, to know where they stand and to kind of uh, adventure out, spend the money, do whatever they want to do without that nagging concern in the back of their mind, wondering, am I overdoing it? Are we going to run out? Are we being good stewards in that? Um, that's really how we try to differentiate ourselves. I also love the fact we're a real kind of a boutique firm of 24 people. But at the same time, we're part of, this Fortune 125 company that, is one of the most financially strong companies in the country, high integrity, great products. They spend millions of dollars on technology so that our clients not only get a great online experience, but, the cyber threats keep growing, the fraud keeps growing. I would hate to be an independent RIA trying to keep up with the technology to make sure my clients are secure. So I love the fact that we've got a company like Northwestern Mutual who takes care of that. As funny as it sounds, I love that their compliance kind of looks over everything that we do. What was it, 8, 10 years ago when people would ask, how do I know you're not Bernie Madoff? Um, it's like, well, but for us, one of the answers is, well, gosh, if we put together a plan, an investment strategy for you, and we start implementing it, and we start going off track, my phone's going to ring. There's going to be a compliance person who reaches out and says, why are you buying that instead of this? And why have you changed the asset allocation? So our phone doesn't ring because we do it the right way, but I love knowing that it would if somebody got off track.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I really admire what you said about the clarity, but like towards the, end of the life, wishing they could have done more. I mean, that's something, an answer I haven't heard people say out of all the people on the show. Um, it's not about planning. So when you are that age, you're safe financially, whatever, but that's a really, really valid point that I don't think that people think about enough, right? Like getting to that age and being like, I could have lived more. I could have lived,
yeah,
you know,
and it's
done
not
more for
about,
myself.
as I know you understand, it's not about telling people, hey, go spend more money.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
about freeing them to go live their dream
Right.
without that nagging worry that I'm being crazy, right? That I should be
Right.
more conservative, that I should leave more for my children, right?
Yeah,
Just
that's what I was
having
going to
that
ask.
clarity allows them to make those choices.
Right.
That's what I was going
Yeah.
to ask you. It seems that people are concerned about what they're going to leave their children over. And I'll tell you a similar situation I had was my stepbrother had brought up to me. I think it was Easter about the family house, right, where my mom and stepdad live. And my stepdad's more the type that you don't have to convince him to, to spend more money. I mean, he had bought a $20,000 tree for the backyard, and my mom said, what the heck are you doing?" Right? Because my father was extremely cheap, right? So
Yeah.
my stepdad buying a $21,000 tree, and my mom said, we could have bought it, one for a couple hundred. And my stepdad goes, well, how long do you think we have to watch it grow? Right?
And you get
So
to leave it for the family, right? The tree.
exactly. And I remember saying to my stepbrother, while our parents draw breath, we don't talk about their mortality, right? And number one, and number two, where I look at it, they're in their 70s now, and they had booked a trip to Africa where they're for this summer. And about a month before they were going to go, they were like, you know what, we can't do this, right? And I think they took like a $25,000 hit on a $50,000 trip on non-refundables. My mom's still trying to get the money back, but she goes, "We should have done this 5 years ago." She said, "I
Mm,
would have had the energy 5 years ago." And
yeah.
the first thing I wasn't looking forward to was the plane flight. And then she goes, "The second thing I wasn't looking forward to is who's going to take care of my flowers while I was on vacation." Right. So that's the thought that goes through that goes through
Yeah.
them now.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's all those
So
thoughts. And we don't know, right? We don't know when that health thing's going to change, how we can do
Mhm.
things. So it's
Yeah.
always, hey, 5 years from now, I'll go take this trip. We hope. We don't know.
Exactly. Uh, and Bob, what does long-term success look like for you? Where 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 would you see yourself ending, your career successful here?
Yeah, we've got certain targets that we're trying to hit in the near term. Like we hope in the next 3 years from now we'll be at $2 billion of AUM, and that by 7 years from now we'll be at 3 billion. And it's great to have goals because you can grow and shoot and see if you've hit them or not. But I think for me, and I think I would speak for almost all my partners, but for me, when I am able to impact a family, um, it's successful, and growth kind of occurs from that, right? Because you sit down with someone, you give them some clarity, explain how we're going to do things. And I mean, there's no better feeling than when they literally or figuratively kind of push everything across the table to you and say, hey, you guys take care of this. We're going to go have fun now. I mean, I love that feeling. And I don't, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but I hope to do this for another 6-10 years. Who knows? I don't have to lift heavy boxes or do, physical activity. I get to sit down and talk with people and strategize. So I hope to do it for a long time and have a lot of fun along the way.
Mhm.
But I would say, gosh, if whenever I leave the business, if there are people who say, Bob made an impact in allowing me to have a better life, that would be an awesome legacy. That's what I would love to have.
Like that.
That's
Thank you.
amazing. Yeah.
And I had a question when you had joined your partners. When you had joined your partners, what was your guys' AUM back in 2019 when you had joined the two other individuals as opposed to where you guys have grown it now?
I think we were about maybe just under 500 million.
Wow. And so you guys have doubled in the last 2 years. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's been great. We have a lot of clients who are in retirement, so they're in distribution mode. So there's money going out for second homes and for lifestyle and all that. So we feel like we've got to keep the treadmill going to to fill up going out. But then, that's the fun part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bob, final question to wrap things up with us today. What is one piece of advice you would give to someone just starting off in the industry or, your younger self who was just getting going?
Well, this career is tough to get started, right? It takes a lot of effort, a lot of perseverance. I always said and I'll tell this to the new advisors who, join on their own. You can't lose unless you quit, but there's going to be days where you feel like quitting. So I think if you keep the goal in mind of helping people and just reach out to that next person, it inevitably goes. I have always enjoyed working in teams. So if you're that type of person, look for a situation where you can work in a team where you can use the energy of the other people and their skill sets to help you grow as you help them grow. And life is short, so try to do things that are fun. We work under the entrepreneurial operating system. Gino Wickman created that book Traction, and he created this thing called EOS Life. We like to copy that and say it's the symphony life, where we love what we do, we love the people we're working with, we're making an impact in the world, we're getting compensated appropriately, and we've got time for other passions. And so if you can find that in your work life, I think you've been pretty successful.
Well said. Well, Bob, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. We really appreciate you sharing your inspiring story with us and our audience. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the What Matters podcast. We'll be back soon with more conversations that cut to the core of what truly matters. Until next time, take care and stay curious, everyone. Thanks.